Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. This is Samantha with More Than Serendipity and the Brighton Business Builders, and I am here today with Les Makepeace. And Les, I didn't think to ask you this before we got started, but do we want to say mywinelist.co, or is it something else since you're working on some new projects?
So the parent company is My Dyna Menu Inc. Our main project right now is mywinelist.co, but I am starting the evaluations of what things will follow mywinelist.co. I'm evaluating spirits. I'm evaluating sort of small boutique service providers, I guess is the best way to describe it. I haven't named it yet, but hair, nails, tattoos, massages, people who cater to a tribe. So I'm evaluating that and spirits while we're executing wine.
Well, that makes sense to me. Wine, spirits, and who doesn't like spirits, right?
Right. And I had originally ruled out spirits, which sort of gets into the discussion we're eventually going to have here. But the laws changed in the spirits world about 2 years ago, and it opened up some opportunities that weren't there before. And so I had ruled it out, but then I started talking to the distilleries because I was just on a personal journey to understand spirits because I knew beer and wine so well. And that's when I learned that, oh, wow, maybe what we do matters here. And I had ruled out that it did.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Sounds like we might need another connect to learn. I might want to know more. In Colorado, this is just a random question for you, but in Colorado, what's the biggest type of spirits distillery, however you word that? Like, what's the biggest thing here?
So almost everybody makes a few types of whiskey.
Okay.
Most commonly bourbon and rye, also what's called an American whiskey. And that just means it doesn't fit the rules for bourbon or rye. It's a blend of grains, basically.
Okay.
And almost everybody does those. And when you start a distillery, brown spirits get brown because they're aged in barrels, not because they come out that way. They all come out clear. So when you start a distillery, you typically start with vodka and possibly gin and rum because they don't take as long to make because they don't have to sit in a barrel a long time. And so when a brand new distillery comes online, they normally have a vodka and possibly a gin or rum. And then eventually they start having whiskeys because they've had enough time to have them aging. Now, some people, when they start, just don't open and sell things until they have stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll have to plan a connect for sure. But before we start talking about that, let's focus on our interview here. So tell me just a little bit about your business. Share whatever piece of your story that you would like to share with the viewers today. Just how you got started or why you are in Brighton or whatever you want to tell us. I would love to learn a little bit more.
All right. So I'm going to go way back in time to when I was a Navy guy.
20 years ago? 10 years ago?
18 years ago.
Just kidding.
is when I got out.
Okay.
I have almost been out as long as I was in. Not quite, but it's coming. And the Navy mindset is somewhat entrepreneurial because, right, you go away on ships and that huge supply chain that supports things is severed, or not severed, but way harder, right? So sort of have an entrepreneurial mindset. So when I left the Navy in 2005, there was an opportunity because I'd been in the acquisition world and worked with all the contractors. There was an opportunity to go work at, pick your favorite military DoD contractor. I knew them all.
Okay.
And I knew I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the guy to go sit in an office in pick whatever city you want.
Right.
And so I went down the entrepreneurial path. And I did a lot of things that required making physical products first. And I just got so tired of the expense of doing those kind of things, right? You got to set up manufacturing, you have manufacturing employees, you got to get a place. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go broke if I keep doing these kind of things. And so I put together a software team. And originally we were going to do something completely different than what we're doing now. And it was actually an event that was either done by the Chamber or the EDC in Brighton. I can't remember which group ran this event, but they did a pitch night where these local entrepreneurs came in and were talking about their businesses, a little Shark Tank kind of thing.
Yep, I've been to one of those. Yeah.
And one of the people pitching was Something Brewery. They were brand new back then.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting here, I've put a software team together to look at a different thing already. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? These local people have really no access to mobile technology. They can't go make an app. You got to hire a dev team to make an app. Yeah. And that's really expensive. And these little local businesses don't have that kind of money. So I went back to the software team that I'd already put together for a different project. And I said, you guys are familiar with GoDaddy and Wix and Squarespace and these tools that help people build websites. Could we build a tool that helped them make, deploy, and maintain an app so that they could play in the mobile marketplace the same way high dollar companies can, who can afford to hire dev teams? And they said, when do you think about that? And they went away and thought about it. Okay. And then they came back to me, I don't know, a week later and said, yeah, we think we know how we could do this. And oh, by the way, we like it better than the other thing you have us looking at.
Nice.
Like, okay, we'll do this instead.
Okay.
Right? Because we weren't committed to that other thing financially at all. Nice. Right? It was just a concept. And so we've been on this path ever since. And we started, excuse me, by making a platform in the craft beer world. It's how you and I met. I don't know if you remember that.
You and I have different stories about how we met. No, you think I drink beer. I don't drink beer, but we did meet at Something Brewery.
Because you and Thor were at Something Brewery, and yeah, we were in the back.
Yes, that's where we met. But you reached out to me on Instagram because I was hosting a headshot event and you wanted to record it.
No, we did the app thing first.
No, I will find the history and Instagram and I'm going to show it to you.
Anyway, Something Brewery was our very first.
That's true.
Thing.
Yes.
And they're super users, by the way. I invite anybody who watches this, all 12 of them, go download the Something Brewery app. Yes. We are the tech behind that. And they are the best users of this kind of technology I've ever run across. Yeah. We don't market ourselves in the beer world at all because almost nobody thinks the way those guys do. Yeah,
they're really unique. They've got such a cool product too.
And they very much cultivate a tribe. And that's what our software is about, is helping you cultivate a tribe. And most breweries don't think that way. So we gave up on beer. I was going to do food trucks after beer. But after I did a bunch of interviews with food truck owners, I'm like, shoot, they think less about cultivating a tribe than breweries do.
They're mobile.
And the whole time we were making the beer platform, we had wineries tapping us on the shoulder going, hey, do us next, do us next. And I thought wine was snooty and I wasn't going to want to do it. But I'm like, all right, let me go evaluate wine since I've decided food trucks isn't going to be a good idea. And as it turns out, overwhelmingly, wineries are run by entrepreneurs like you and me. And they're not snooty. And oh, by the way, if you go visit a boutique winery or a craft winery or whatever word you want to use, I'll plug one here because he's from Brighton. Paul Bonaquisti has a place in the Sunnyside neighborhood in Denver, and he's a Brighton High School grad. Go visit Bonaquisti Winery, and you will come out of that going, wow, I should visit more wineries. Because Paul is awesome, and he makes amazing wine.
Yes. And
And
you have a new winery that just joined the BBB too, right?
yes, that's Kingman
Yes.
Estates.
Yes.
And I know them well also. And in fact, I have interviewed them and done a thing on YouTube with them in the past.
Yeah,
And I cannot wait until their new place is up here,
I
because
know.
now we're going to have 2 craft breweries and a boutique winery.
It's
And
gonna be awesome.
one of my little side projects as I go visit distilleries is to feel out if any of them would be willing to put a tasting room in Brighton.
No,
Because when you have a license in Colorado to operate a distillery, you get 2 tasting rooms, and almost none of them use that.
that's interesting. That is interesting. And that's good to know. Like so a little tidbit I did not know. I went to a tasting room when I was with my girlfriend in Estes Park for a place. I didn't know they got 2 of those, or that
Yeah.
there was a limit for that matter.
Distilleries get 2, wineries get 5, and breweries only get 1.
Rude.
Yes. That's how screwed up alcohol laws are in the United States. It's just not just Colorado, it's all over the
I'm
US.
sure it's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
That's all right.
Really cool. All right. That's exciting. I knew a little bit
If
of
nothing else, when people watch this, they will know that if they have questions about the drinks industry, they can call me.
Yes. But they might get more than they're asking for if they call you. But it won't be bad. It just will be more, which I appreciate a lot. Oh my gosh. So that brings us back to our how we met and how you got to the BBB, because I'm going to take credit for that just a little.
Oh, you absolutely get all the credit for it. I didn't know what the BBB was until we met. And whether or not it was you and Thor having trouble with your something brewery app, or we just decided to go chat about something.
Yes.
We chatted. We were on the patio.
We were.
In the back, and
Yep.
you told me about this thing called the BBB.
Yeah.
And I had known I wanted to get more involved in Brighton, because I've been here since 05. But everything I've done has had a sort of national audience, not a local audience.
Yeah.
And so I really wasn't very connected in Brighton. And I felt like I am of a certain age, all my children are grown and gone, that if nothing else, I could give something back.
Yep.
Even if I don't have any customers in Brighton. And so you said, well, come do this BBB thing.
Yeah.
And I've been part of it ever since.
But you more than part, you dived right in. Not only do you get to be Gretchen's punching bag a little bit, which is always fun to see, but you're on the steering committee. And you work for me now, which is, just so
Absolutely.
right.
I am your tech nerd.
Yes, exactly. So those of you watching that don't know, I shockingly help with the social media marketing for the group, and Les is on my team. So yeah, so we work closely together. But so you jumped in. What do you, now that you've been in the group, gosh, for 2.5 years now? Does that sound right? Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I think so. We met during, I think it was during COVID, so like 2020-ish.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, 2021 maybe, because I feel like we were allowed to be in public.
If this helps you, you were transitioning from being the person who ran the BBB over to Mercedes.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. That's when I got involved, right?
So
During that transition.
2021. It would have been because when I quit my day job and went full time in my marketing business,
Yeah.
I let the leadership of the BBB go because I knew I was going to have to focus. And
I know you had not quit your day job yet, but it was part of your plans when we started this relationship.
It's a shocker that I'm a planner, I know.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So what I was going to ask is what about the group do you think is one of the best benefits, or maybe one of like the least known, but something people should know about that you want to share?
Well, and I tell people outside of Brighton this all the time, and I should say it louder in Brighton. We have some world-class, national class, whatever word you want to use, right? We have some top talent in Brighton.
Yeah.
As an example, I get all my swag from Rich now.
Go Knizzle. They're amazing.
I
Absolutely
did not
amazing.
know who Rich was
Yeah.
before I joined the BBB.
Yep.
I have taken some of your classes.
Thank
You are one of the top marketing minds in the state,
Oh, thank you.
especially with regard to how you use and influence in social media,
Yeah.
right? So I have created with some relationships with top tier talent in the state that also happens to live in my backyard. And
Yeah.
I would never have known that had I not joined the BBB. I think the other cool thing about the BBB, and I don't think we say this enough, this is a group of friends. It's a group of people who care about each other, who are from a bunch of different industries,
Yeah.
who will do what they can do to help each other. But it's almost like the business relationship comes second, right?
Yeah.
We're a bunch of friends first.
It's so true.
We all happen to be entrepreneurs in the same city. So we run into a lot of the same problems. So there's all kinds of business benefits from it.
Yep.
But first and foremost, I get to goof on Gretchen.
Yes,
Because
you
she's
do.
my friend.
Yes, she is.
And you know, hopefully I never need her services. I'm never in a car accident and need a personal injury attorney.
Right.
But I know who I'm going to call if it happens,
Yep.
right? Because I have a friend who is one of those people, and I have a friend who makes swag, and I have a friend who does social media marketing, and I have all these other cool friends.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, what keeps me there.
Yeah, me too. Me too. In the last week, I've had a couple people say some things to me right along those same lines, or at least to lead to that, the answer, right? One person who's been in the group for a while asked me if I've gotten anything out of the group. And I was like, there's obviously some things. You've taken some of my classes. There's little bits, but in the grand scheme of thing, if I was like going to go by numbers, it may not make sense to spend a full 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours a week attending these meetings and networking before and after and doing all the things. But the relationships and the being able to say, hey, I know this person who, and I can very genuinely tell someone, this is the personal injury lawyer you need. This is the financial advisor you need. Here's the roofing person that I would trust to be on my roof. Like those things, right? Like if I ever convince my uncle and aunt to do something in their wine business with an app, I know exactly who I would refer, right? Like everyone in the group is a friend. And then yesterday I was sitting at the table at the EDC luncheon with one of our members, and she said to me, she's like, I have absolutely zero interest in doing a presentation. I'm not even there for business. I'm 100% there for the relationships. I just want to be in these people's presence. And I was like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, remind her, as I'm going to do during my presentation, you don't have to talk about your business at all. You could talk about some other interesting thing that the group might find interesting.
Right. And I think that is where some of the value comes from, right? Like being able to share some wisdom, which is really, really important, which is a great segue. So Les, give us just a little hint as to what you're going to be sharing with the group on Thursday.
Okay. So I think you know this about me. I used to teach entrepreneurship at University of Denver.
I did know that.
Right. So I have some queued up content, and one of my favorite lectures, not really a lecture, it's more of a class activity thing to do, is an evaluation of your value chain.
Okay.
And I strongly recommend all entrepreneurs go through this drill every year or 2 or 3, because even though you may have done it when you set up your business, things could have changed. Relationships could be different. There could be different influencers, to use a 2024 word. And it's important that you take stock of how that's organized.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, pick a couple of unwitting participants and sort of go through the value chain drill with them.
Okay.
Just to help make sure they've thought of all these connection points, with the main focus being, is there a connection point that I have not yet made that if I made it could influence me getting customers or me being able to serve customers better or whatever. But just think about everybody upstream from me, right? Where I get all my things, and then where I sit and what is it I'm trying to do where I sit. And then most of us have B2B relationships. There's a few who are B2C. But even if you're a B2B business, losing sight of who those C's are downstream from you is a bad idea, right? Your goal is to help that business serve those people better. So you can't lose sight of those C's down there, even if they're not your C.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. That is really good. It's definitely, I think we talked a little bit offline about that. And I think half of what you're saying, I reflect on quite frequently with my clients, because it's important to me when helping someone figure out their social media strategy to understand who they're trying to attract and why, like how they're using their social media. But I don't always think about like the tools and the resources and the other things above me in that chain. So I'm very excited to be a part of to be there and hear this. I think that we've done it once before, but it was a little bit different the way you were.
It was a little more lecture, and I did a little stuff with Rich, but I had already thought it out before I did that. I want to do this one in real time.
Okay. But you're not going to call on any guests, right?
Guests.
If we have a guest. If someone was thinking about coming.
No.
Okay.
I mean, unless they put their hand up and go, do me.
Oh, right. If they're brave. They might be brave. You never know.
Yeah. But I will pick on my friends.
Okay.
And because I know enough about what most of you do that I can ask credible questions about how to sort of fill this chart out.
Ooh, very cool. I am so looking forward to it. Okay, so to wrap up, before we jump into the last question, I just want to invite everyone watching, especially if you've made it this far in our lovely conversation, to please join us. We meet Thursday mornings in Brighton, Colorado. You can get more information about locations and times and all of that on brightonbusinessbuilders.org. Or you can leave a comment wherever you're watching this video, and we will get back to you with information on how you can join us. We are a semi-exclusive group, which means we allow 2 people per industry. So if you've got questions about that, you can, again, comment and we will get back to you. But either way, you can come visit us and check us out. We'd love to have you. All right, last but not least, what is some words of wisdom that you have? You've got all this experience between the military and educating entrepreneurs and your own journey. What's something that you would share with the people watching right now?
I would say that the most important thing, especially as an entrepreneur, which is sort of who we cater to in the BBB, is to understand that you don't know every freaking thing, right? You're never going to know. And so be curious and look for opportunities to learn, which sort of dovetails back into why you want to be a BBB member in the first place. I don't make swag, but boy, I know who the best swag maker in the Western United States is, right? And learning that was valuable, right?
Yeah.
I only go to him for my stuff now.
Yep.
Right? Because not only can he find anything, I had an idea about a thing that I didn't even know existed. And I went to him and I'm like, I kind of want something like this. Sure enough, a week later, he had figured out how to source it. Right?
Amazing.
And so that willingness to understand you don't know every freaking thing, I think fully embrace that and be willing to go learn. is probably the most helpful thing you can ever do for yourself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Again, everybody watching, this is Les Makepeace with, tell us the name of the business again, because I was going to say My Wine List, but.
Well, so that's the product we're working on right now. The parent company is called My Dyna Menu.
Okay.
And so when we release a product in the spirits world, it won't be called My Wine List. It'll be called something else.
Yeah.
And the beer platform was called My Beer List. And I have no idea what I'm going to name the thing that is a more general platform. Maybe my good friend and marketer can come up with some thoughts on that someday.
I may be able to come up with some. I might have already had some popping up in my head while we were talking.
There you go. But the parent company is My Dyna Menu. Our current product getting ready for commercial release is My Wine List. .co. It'll roll out in Colorado first. I'm assuming most of our viewers are in Colorado, all 12 of them. And
11. No.
But then once I do a proper job of Colorado, you know, I'm gonna focus on Paso and Woodinville, Washington, and you know, some other areas of California that are not Napa.
Okay.
There's 3,000 wineries in California, and most of them are not in Napa.
Yeah.
Right. So Napa is one of the few places in the United States where I made that comment about you probably can't afford to hire a dev team. Actually, most Napa wineries could afford to hire a dev team because it costs so much money to have a winery in Napa. Those people could probably have a dev team. But in Paso and in Temecula and San Diego, and there's just so many. Lodi, they're mom and pop wineries like we have here in Colorado. Yeah. I would invite also anybody watching this, if you have questions about Colorado wine, I am glad to answer. I know most of the wineries personally. I can tell you what they carry. I just had somebody recently ask me, oh, we're going to put together a Palisade trip. We want to go for 3 days. Can you give us a list? I'm like, oh yeah, I can give you a list. I've been many times.
I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I appreciate you so much and taking the time to hang out with me and do this video, and hopefully everyone's made it to the end. And if you did make it to the end, leave a comment that asking Les something about wine, anything. I don't care. I don't care what you ask him. I'm just curious if you're still watching.
Odds are, if I don't know the answer, I know somebody who knows the answer.
Right. And then you could tag them in this, and then we'd have 12 viewers. All right. I'm going to wrap it up and say goodbye. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you need any more information, you can leave us a comment below or visit our website, brightonbusinessbuilders.org.